Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dota 2 update for the week of May 2nd, 2011. And yes guys, we are in May. We're almost halfway through this year, and Dota 2 being slated for release 4th quarter of this year. Boy, I'm starting to get excited. However, keep in mind that it is a Valve timeline and we never know how much they're going to delay it by. But I would love to be able to play Dota 2 by Christmas season of this year. That is my hope for this year. Anyways, we have some nice stories for you guys today. First of all, we have an interview done by Rip10.com, the video game blog, just a couple days ago with the guys from S2 Games, James Felding and Pew Liu, who are both game designers and game design directors, respectively. So that's awesome, and that goes into how Han and S2, which is a huge competitor, or would-be competitor to Dota 2, feels about the Valve's release of Dota 2. And then we have a podcast interview with one of the guys who announced Dota 2 to the world, done by GameInformer.com, where he goes over just some of the stuff that we can expect in Dota 2. And that's going to be it for today. I mean, it's going to be short and sweet, not going to take up too much of your time. However, we got some very juicy news. It's just great. So here we go. So jumping into our first story, Rip10.com, the video game blog, just a couple days ago sat down with two of the senior guys from S2 Games. One of them, James Felding, who is the design director over at S2 Games, and another one, senior game designer at Pew Liu, to talk about how they feel Dota 2 is going to affect their flagship product, Heroes of Newerth. And they were surprisingly confident. I mean, some of the things they say is just insane how confident they were with their product, which I gotta say is a good thing. I mean, if you're not confident, what else do you got? I mean, but here are some of the quotes from these guys. They say, "We're interested to see how Dota 2 lives up to the bar we've set." And they also go on to say, "If I were in Valve's shoes, I'd be a little afraid of having to follow up our act," and that's talking about Heroes of Newerth. So they're very confident about Heroes of Newerth, and I'm going to show you guys a little clip from this interview. And of course, if you want to check out the full-length interview, I always have the links to my stories below, so I'm going to link to this interview and you guys can all check that out. I strongly recommend it to see how these guys are reacting to Dota 2, which possibly, I mean, the community has been saying Dota 2 is going to blow League of Legends and Heroes of Newerth out of the water. However, looking at these guys talk, it looks like, I mean, they're just brushing off their shoulders right now about how awesome Han is and how steadfast it can hold against what a lot of people are saying, the onslaught of Dota 2. So here's a clip from the interview.
Alright guys, so what people want to know, people like me and in the press in general, is you guys worried about Dota 2?
You know, we're kind of interested to see how Dota 2 lives up to the bar we've set. You know, if I were in Valve's shoes, I'd be a little afraid of having to follow up our act. We have a lot of technology in the game we're really proud of. Our replay system is second to none. We have really good spectators.
Really good netcode.
Really good netcode. You know, our client server architecture is really responsive, really crisp, really fast. And we've really nailed down the feel of the genre and what players are used to and how the game plays and all that kind of thing. And that was a lot of attention to detail.
And one of the best things that's been said in the interview, I think, was Pew Liu says, "The announcement of Dota 2 is only more motivation for us to set the bar even higher." And I gotta say, that is an amazing way to think about it, especially for me as a consumer and a player of these games, because this means that Han is not gonna sit back and watch and wait. They're gonna treat this as a competition. I mean, they're gonna up their game, and that's gonna force Dota 2 to up their game to make sure they live up to the expectations of everyone, and which is just going to result in better games, both games being much better. And I gotta say, it really makes me excited as a player of these kinds of games. Alright, so our second story of the day GameInformer.com did a podcast with Dota 2 announcement article author, and they did it shortly after the announcement when they realized that Dota 2 was so popular that it crashed their servers and forced them to buy new servers. So they're like, whoa, we gotta follow up on this because this is insanely popular. However, this interview really just says a lot of the same things that we've been hearing in all these quote-unquote about the game interviews. And I gotta say, Dota2.com did a great job of summarizing some of the little sparkles, little gems that was found in this little podcast. And here are some of them. I mean, these aren't groundbreaking, they're just interesting. And the first one is a great example of that. It just says that the physics and clothes animations are going to be amazing, which just means that the capes will flow more realistically. And oh my gosh, gotta have those capes, man. And another one, in-game guides. There's going to be in-game guides, self-explanatory. Shop interactions. They say you can queue item purchases. So when you reach a shop, you can press one button, have the queued items already purchased. And that's pretty cool, I guess. I mean, especially for top-level players. I know personally in Han, sometimes I'm buying something in the shop, and then all of a sudden, boom, I get ganked. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? And by the time I close the shop window and try to run out of there, I'm already dead. So I guess that's cool. Pathfinding has been improved. However, we don't know much about that until we've actually seen some gameplay. They say there's some cool UI stuff. There's going to be lore and hero interactions. So I guess when two heroes walk by each other, they're going to interact in some sort of unique way. That's at least what I've been hearing from all these interviews. And they also say the game is in a playable state. And this interview was actually from a few months ago. So back then it was playable, so I'm just excited to see, or to hope, what the state of the game is right now. And that's pretty much all the little gems that comes out of this little podcast, besides the sort of generic stuff that you hear in every single interview. I mean, we're doing great on Dota 2, blah, 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 this, that you've heard a million times before in other interviews. So that's that for Dota 2 update for the week of May 2nd, 2011. I hope you guys enjoyed these nice little tidbits of news. I really liked that S2 Games interview. I thought that was really, really juicy. And yeah, that's about it. Hope to see you guys next week. I'm going to go play myself some Dota and Han. I'll see you guys next time.